Well, as President Obama's second term gets underway, there's a new poll that finds that a growing number of Americans feel that the government is threatening their personal rights. For the first time ever in the survey by the Pew Research Center and for the People and the Press, a majority of the public, 53% now, say that the federal government threatens their personal rights and freedoms. This comes, of course, amid a growing debate over Second Amendment rights, highlighted by a heated meeting on New York State's new gun restrictions. Let's watch this.
Now you're turning them into criminals, you're making them angry, and when angry people get together, they form militias, folks. But this country, this Western New York area is primed for something like that.
Obviously, the guy that made the laws have never served in the military. I did assault weapons with a fully automatic weapon.
What is the penalty if you do not register it? Because I guarantee you there's a lot of people that aren't gonna.
All right, let's have a fair and balanced debate on this subject now. Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Ben Ferguson is the host of the Ben Ferguson Show through the Icon Radio Network. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
Leslie, let's talk about this. 53% of Americans who responded to the Pew poll say that they believe that their personal freedoms are being threatened. Is this all about gun rights? Because I should tell you that this poll was taken January 9th through the 13th. That was before the president issued his 23 executive orders.
Yeah, it was before the president issued his executive orders, but not before the NRA and many on the right saw what was coming with those executive orders and kept talking about that mantra of, you know, taking away our rights, and they're trying to take away our Second Amendment rights. And when you look at the breakdown of the poll, because I looked at the exact breakdown, the majority of those who feel, you know, lack of trust with their government are more of the conservative Republicans, and Democrats pretty much remain unchanged. What does surprise me is this happens so soon after an election, and I hate to slam my fellow Americans, but it's not after an election that you say you don't trust your government and the officials that you elected into those positions. It's in October you look at whether you trust your government before you vote. Well, you know, so if people are complaining who they voted for, you know, they have a responsibility to look at what they did back in November.
But Ben, Leslie's exactly right. What is the disconnect here? The people just voted, and now are they having buyer's remorse for this president?
Yeah, because a lot of it is a lot of this is bait and switch. Remember, Barack Obama said, if you vote for me, I'm going to make sure that for those that aren't in the upper 1% of Americans, your taxes won't go up. And then all of a sudden, I got flooded with all these people that voted for Obama going, whoa, my payroll taxes just went up. And I said, well, you got to read the fine print, but you also have to look at Obamacare that just came out. We just saw from the IRS, they said, hey, guess what? The cheapest mandated form of coverage that you can have in 2016, the bronze level, out of 4 levels, the worst health care you can get, is going to cost an average family of 4, $20,000. We find that out today, and I think a lot of people are going, hold on a second. You're mandating that I pay more taxes than these payroll taxes, which you promised me weren't going to happen. You're now telling me I got to pay a penalty if I don't do Obamacare, which you also promised me would make my life cheaper. And so people that voted for him, and a lot of people are saying, on top of him, going after your guns, this is not what America's all about, and that's why they're so upset.
Leslie, this is the puzzling part. I mean, were people not paying attention during the election? The president didn't mislead people.
Thank you.
He ran as someone who does believe in what government and big government can do. He's a proponent of bigger government. So why do people now say that they feel as though their personal freedoms are being infringed on?
You know, we as Americans are pretty fickle. If you think about it, during the Clinton years, Americans overwhelmingly wanted universal health care. As soon as it started to be proposed, people were like, oh, no, 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 they don't like change. Ben, I loved your speech. It was lovely. The problem is those aren't personal freedoms. You know this is about guns. And by the way, when the president ran, we didn't have 20 little children that were buried in Newtown, Connecticut. And that definitely makes a difference. Any commander-in-chief cannot overlook when you have massacre after massacre after massacre in this country. And by the way, when it comes to personal freedoms, it just comes down to the guns, and nobody is taking away the Second Amendment right to their arms. We're trying to protect the country.
Look at yesterday. Look at yesterday. You had an armed guard that stopped a kid who shot one person in the neck in Atlanta, and that's what law-abiding citizens are in favor of, is actually being there to stop a problem and not just attack guns, which is their right to have, and blame all of it on a gun. You got to look at.
Ben, I love you. Did you just say a union working law enforcement official? You guys on the right, you kill me. Oh, no pun intended there. You slay me because you don't take our guns. Now it's okay to beef up the police force. Where was beefing up the police force and all of those union jobs last year, Ben? When on the right saying slash.
Go ahead, Ben.
Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. When you go after a gun and you don't actually fix the problem, okay? And that's why people think that their personal freedoms are under attack, is because this president and the leadership under him are so obsessed with a gun, they can't even realize that what they're doing is not protecting kids, as they did in Atlanta yesterday. And that's why people are starting to say, we don't like the government right now, because they're not fixing real problems of safety and security.
All right, Leslie Marshall, Ben Ferguson, thanks to both of you for the debate.
Thank you.
All right, we